Hi, everyone. Can I just tell y'all that I'm always late? I think, yeah, just about always late to do my live streams because here's what happens. And I'm going to learn the lesson from it this time, but here's what happens. I'm ready. I sit down. I think about what I'm going to talk about. I hit go live, and then I see my hair. And I'm massively distracted by it. And then I spend the next 3 to 4 minutes fucking with it. And then I go, oh, it's not actually getting any better. So I'm just going to go live anyway. So that's the lead up here. In case anyone was wondering, that's how this goes down. Does anyone else feel like that? Let me know. I find my hair to be massively distracting, and or sometimes it's my eyebrows. Totally depends on the day. Today it was the hair. Also, I live in Florida, and the humidity is like 99%, so it's kind of hard to have a good hair day at this point. Anywho, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Safia. I appreciate that. It's because I just spent, a good 4 minutes brushing it several times. Hey, Andrea. Okay. Hey, Michelle. All right, awesome. So let's dive in. Happy Monday, you guys. Thank you for joining me. All right. You're lucky it's straight and not thick and out of whack like mine. Well, this took some straightener work, but yes, I hear that, especially in the summer. So, all right, today we're going to talk about the way you're probably sabotaging your success right now and how to shift it really fast. It is so crazy. I swear it's like, as soon as I pick these topics, I feel like I'm talking to every client about it pre-live stream, which is so interesting because it's like, how do I want to say it? It's like we're all in the same energy, or like we're all dealing with the same shit. And so the reason I say that is because I think sometimes when we hear something or when we have something reflected to us, we can be like, oh my God, it's just me. It's never just you. All of us are dealing with this in some way, shape, or form. And, on different levels, right? Like in different places in our business. But anyway, the point is, I feel like I'm probably going to have like 6 of my clients be like, oh, was that one about me? And like, it was about all of you and none of you, right? Because we're all dealing with this shit. So let's rock and roll. Right. Michelle's like, wait, what? Do you mean me? Like, yes, and everyone. Like, that's the crazy part, right? I always think it's so funny how it's so easy to be like, oh, fuck, this one's about me. And like, it is, and it's about like 6 other people too, right? So here's the way you're probably sabotaging your success right now. By the way, I feel like I do these live streams totally wrong, y'all. I feel like I should like really lead up to this. And I feel like every time I'm just like, I'm going to tell you the whole point of this at the beginning and then we'll talk about it. So no surprise. This is the thing I'm going to tell you right now. Hey, Claire. The way you're probably sabotaging your success right now is not deciding. Let me think of how I want to say this. Is not deciding what you're going to do for the next 90 days. Let's say it like that. Not deciding what you want to make happen for the next 90 days. Not deciding what results you want in the next 90 days, right? And here's what I mean by that. When we don't decide, our decisions and our action, or when we, you guys, hold on, reset button. When we don't decide, our actions always reflect our indecision. When we decide, it's easy to take action, right? Your actions always reflect your decisions. Does that make sense? So if I have decided like, I am going to make Facebook work for me over the next 90 days, like I'm going to connect in groups, I'm going to get a bunch of traction, I'm going to get people to join my group, I'm going to make these connections, I'm going to build relationships in this way, then all of my daily decisions about like, what should I spend time on? What's the next step in my business? That kind of thing are really fucking simple, actually, right? If I haven't decided and I'm just like, well, I want to grow my business and get results. And so I'm going to do whatever, like I'll do whatever it takes, which seems like a good thing. But what happens is we start doing all the things. So the way you're also sabotaging is by not deciding and then doing all the things because you haven't decided. So what I mean by that is like everything becomes, you know, a rabbit hole or a shiny object, right? So it's like, I haven't decided. So when I hear that thing about Instagram, I think, oh, I should go do that. And then when I hear that thing about Pinterest, I think, you know what? I should spend time on that today. And so every day looks like me spending some time in different places in different ways. And it feels like I'm working all the time, right? Feels like, oh my God, I'm working 24/7. What the F is going on, right? Claire's laughing. Yes. Michelle says, yes, the lack of focus and decision. Exactly. Sarah says, yep. Right? And so everything is a rabbit hole, but it feels like you're working really hard, which there's like nothing more frustrating than that, right? When you're like, I've decided that I'm going to make this work. And so I'm willing to do whatever. And then whatever becomes 17 things. And so I'm just busy all the time, but I'm like not seeing traction from any of it. Like, hi, we've all been there. No shame in that game. Totally get it, right? However, it is sabotaging the shit out of your business because nothing's getting the like time, energy, and attention to actually start working for you, right? So I do this with plants. So random, but it's true. Like, I'll be like, I'm going to make orchids happen. And they need to be cared for in a specific way. And then I'm like, I'm going to make this thing happen. And anyway, the point is I end up killing all of my plants all the time because I'm always like, oh, well, like I'm going to make a tomato plant and then I forget to take care of it in the way it needs to be taken care of. Or I'm going to do the orchid thing and then I forget to take care of it in the way it needs to be taken care of, right? I'm just like ping-ponging around and I'm like, I kill everything. Why doesn't anything live? Well, because none of it has my attention and my focus in the right way. And it's such a silly example, but it's so true, which is just like it's easy to kill everything or do all the things. Like I'm taking care of all the plants and they're all dying when I'm not doing it right. You know what I mean? So I think that what happens in business is that, let's say the plans are platforms or strategies or whatever. And we're like, but I'm doing this here. And I think I'm using this kind of thing here and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing all the things and why is nothing working, right? Claire says, not filling the hole in the wall. Oh, I love that. I'm going to use that example now, Claire. Thank you very much. I think that's actually even better than the plant example. Although I do kill everything. But what Claire was saying, we had a conversation about recently, which was so great, which is like, if you had a hole in your wall, and you identified that as being the problem. Like, oh my God, I have a hole in my wall. That's a problem. So let's say for you in your business right now, whoever's listening, let's say that's, I need more warm leads coming in, right? So I've identified the hole in the wall. I've identified the like one problem I need to solve in my business. I need more warm leads coming in. What we do so often is we keep staring at the hole and we keep talking about the hole and we keep focusing on the hole and we're like, oh my God, there's a hole in my wall. Oh my God, there's a hole in my wall. Oh my God, I'm going to stare at the hole in my wall, right? So like, oh my God, I need more leads. Oh my God, I need more leads. I need more leads. How do I get more leads, right? However, what that leads us to do is spend so much time and energy focusing on that any, shiny object that comes up, we're willing to chase because we're still looking at the hole, we're still looking at the problem, versus deciding on one solution and then acting as though that solution is done. So what I mean is like if I had a hole in my wall and I knew, well, I need to fill the hole in my wall, I would call someone because we know I ain't doing it. I would call someone, I would make the appointment for them to come fill the hole in the wall, and then I would stop staring at the hole because the solution is already in action. Right? In other words, like the guy might not be coming for 2 days, right? But like I can stop looking at the hole and stop talking about the hole because the solution already has movement. Does that make sense? So in online business, if the hole in the wall is I need more warm leads, we need to decide what the solution is and then put all of our focus, energy, and attention to that solution. So if we decide the solution is, I need to put out content regularly and I need to build relationships more, then that is where all of our energy and attention should be going. I need to put out content. I need to build relationships. How can I do that today? How can I put out content? How can I connect? How can I build relationships? Does that make sense? Versus I need more warm leads. What else could I do? What else could I do? I need this hole filled. Maybe I should go to Home Depot and like figure out how to do it myself. Maybe I should look on Pinterest and see if there's a tutorial. Maybe I should go next door and see if my neighbor knows how to do it. Maybe. Why? The solution is already in action. He's coming in 2 days. I just have a time gap, right? And the same thing is true in business, is like, if warm leads are my problem, right? And I've already identified the solution, like I'm going to go all in and I'm going to build relationships and I'm going to put out content regularly, then I have to stop fucking looking at the hole and have to be okay with the time gap, right? And this is what we're not doing. We're going, oh my God, there's a hole. Oh my God, there's a hole. Maybe the Pinterest course, maybe this thing, maybe this thing. Maybe I should be here. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do this, right? And we're making ourselves crazy and we're busy. We're so busy making ourselves crazy. That's the bitch of it too, right? Is that it's not like it's even saving us time, energy, or effort. It's like making us put in way, way, way more, right? Sarah says, or creating all the programs and thus serving none of the people. For sure, we all have certain ways that we sabotage around this, right? Whether it's like doing all the things or solving the wrong problem, right? So for some people, when they don't have like a focused decision, they just go solve whatever feels more comfortable. So like, you know, instead of going, oh, I have a warm leads thing, let me solve that. They're like, I really like making new programs. So let me go make new programs, right? You know what I mean? But it's like they're solving the wrong problem, but they're still spending a ton of time on it. Or they're going, okay, I have a warm leads thing, so I'm going to do 13 things to fix that instead of just like call the person to come fix it. And I'm kidding, you have to call yourself, right? But like, you know what I mean? Pick the one thing and do it, right? Sarah says, haha, Home Depot today though for the flippin' Tyler on the home run. Yes, totally. Like, and here's the thing, right? Sometimes you have to switch up the way you're solving it. So there's no shame in that game, but it's just like, you got to get focused on the one thing. And when you've made a decision, it's easy to do that. When you haven't made a decision, you will always want to do 15 other things, right? So I was speaking to one of my clients last week, which is one of the reasons I chose this topic. And she was basically saying to me, like everything's working, right? In other words, like we had really worked on her sales process. We had designed something that worked. It was like starting to become like a replicable process and bring in clients, but like she's still at the beginning of it. So it's like, she's not like full yet, right? Like it's taking time, but she was like, I see this working. I see how it's working. It's starting to work. What else can I do? Right? That was like her big question. What else can I do? What else should I be doing? Right? And it was so funny because that is always our tendency, is like, what else? And I basically said to her, nothing. Like if you have extra time, go all in on what's working. Like we know this is working. You're seeing momentum. We designed this in a specific way. It's working. So if you have extra time, there's nothing else to be doing, put it toward this process, right? It's like put more into the machine, or put more energy into the machine, put more power into the machine that's working, instead of going, okay, that machine's working pretty well. Let me go build 3 others. Does that make sense? Claire says, you're so awesome. Love that you can make us remember this lesson and make it fun. Good, good. Hey, Natalie. It's good to see you, girl. So in other words, like I think what we're always so tempted to do is like, what else, what else, what else? And it just sabotages us so much, especially because most of us are solopreneurs with like, 1 to 5 team members, right? So we are always going to have limited capacity. So we have to do what works, and we have to keep funneling our energy into what works instead of going, it's working enough. Let me build this. Let me go down this path. Let me figure this out, right? And I think most of us are not doing that. We're not finding a thing that works, making it a well-oiled machine, and then pouring our energy to it. We're finding something that kind of works, and then we're going, I wish this worked better, so I'm going to find something else. You know what I mean? And then we're going and finding that thing and going, I wish this worked better. I'm going to find something else. And then we're confused. And again, it's not like you're doing it wrong. We have all been there. I have totally done that. Like no shame in that game. but it's just making everything take longer for you. It's just sabotaging you. It's just making you work way harder than you need to. But the thing is, I think, is that most people hate the time gap. So back to that example of, I've identified the hole in the wall. I know how to fix it, but I have to wait 4 days or whatever for the guy to come out. That time gap is what fucks everyone. And that's where they self-sabotage, right? So your job, and the way to not self-sabotage and the way to shift it really fast, is to realize that that time gap is the place that you have to do the mindset work, not the business work, right? So I'm going to literally walk you through this. But first I'm going to take a sip of sparkly water. Okay. So I am going to identify a hole in my wall, i.e., what is the biggest hole in your business right now? In value-centered sales, the way I teach it is that it's the starting, getting, or keeping the sales. So you either aren't getting enough people started in your sales process, or you're getting enough people but they're not converting, or they're converting to small offers that aren't converting higher, or they're saying yes and then backing out, that kind of thing. You're not keeping them, or they're not becoming repeat customers, right? So you got to identify which one of those is your main problem, starting, getting, or keeping the sale. Once you know, okay, well, the biggest problem in my business right now is I need more people in the door, or the biggest problem in my business right now is I'm not converting anyone. I have a lot of people around me that are just not saying yes, right? Starting, getting, keeping. That's your hole in the wall. Which one of those is your problem? How can you identify it? And the more specific you can be, the better. I think most people don't know what problem they even need to be solving in their business. And so again, that leaves us just doing a bunch of haphazard shit. What is your number one problem right now? You have to know that, right? Michelle says, but how do you know the difference between it not working for you versus you just need to wait? I would say this. If you have decided you want to make something work for you, you work it until it works. In other words, you may have to test and tweak it along the way, but first of all, give it 90 days. And then second of all, make it work until it works. I think sometimes we're so available to be maybe that's just not for me, or maybe that didn't work for me, or maybe whatever, right? And I think that's usually not the case. It's more if I want to make, I'm just going to use a random example, right? But if I want to make Instagram my thing, and it's going to work for my business, and it's how I want to get clients, and it's how I want to sell, then my job is to go all the fucking way in on that until it works. If that's what I really want. Does that make sense? So I think sometimes you have to decide what you really want, and then go all the way in on it. And then of course you might need to tweak it along the way. So, I think there's a gray area in that, what do we mean by Instagram? Sure, there might be several tweaks to do along that, but at the core, I think there's very often not going to be a thing that just doesn't work for you, if that makes sense, right? Rita says, amen. Invite all my clients to watch this so they hear it from someone other than me. Thank you, Rita. Happy to be the other voice of reason in this. Okay, so anyway, step one, right, was what is the biggest problem? What is the hole in your wall? Figure out what you need to solve, right? Step two, what are the specific actions for solving that? So if it's more warm leads, what are you specifically deciding to do about that? So for example, I might be grow my Facebook group. I need more warm leads around me. So my specific decision is to grow my Facebook group. How am I going to do that? Maybe I'm going to do that by running ads, or sharing in other groups, or putting out more content that invites people, or asking my list to convert to my group because they're not, or to jump in my group because I have a ton of people on my list and they're not actually in my community and warmed up. Whatever it is, that's going to be specific to your business. But what, and it might be a few of those things, right? But okay, one problem, one solution, a few actions that might solve that, right? And then you have to be I'm going all the way in on those for 90 days, right? So that means that even when I see a shiny object, or even when I think, God, I'm not even getting any traction and it's already been 30, I still have to keep going. I still have to keep going. I still have to keep going. And that, again, that time gap is the bitch for everyone, right? It's sort of like when you start working out again. I forget, there's like something that's always on Pinterest, or maybe it's just always on my Pinterest, but it's something like, you know, in 8 weeks, you'll notice, in 12 weeks, other people will notice, in 16 weeks, your clothes will notice. I don't remember. It's some shit like that, right? But the point is that time gap between week 0 and week 12, you know, is like, that's the mind fuck part, right? And that's the part where it's like, I can decide, well, maybe this isn't working, or maybe I should go to a different class, or maybe I should do this other diet or whatever. But the point is, it's never going to work unless I give it that time. What I have to work on is my brain. When I'm on week 2 and I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to get up in the morning, I haven't even lost a pound yet. My work is the brain. It's not to go, okay, well, what else do I need to do to lose a pound in the next week, right? My work is the brain. My work is the brain, right? So to kind of like tie this in a bow, at 90 days, it doesn't mean you're not going to tweak or take data or get better, or you know, do any of the things, or maybe even decide you don't want to do that platform anymore. But the point is that you gave it enough time to work for you. So like at 90 days, maybe I'll decide, you know what, this workout wasn't the most fun. I want to do this other class, or like, there are a couple things I don't like about this diet. I'm going to tweak it in this way. But I gave it the chance to give me results and to take in the info from it. When we give something the chance to work for 90 days, what so often happens is that we realize that very small little tweaks need to happen to take us to that next level. So like, let's say your problem was converting a sale. So say you've been like going like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm working on this, I'm working on this, I'm doing this for 90 days. And then at 90 days, you're like, okay, I have all this data. And I noticed that this one little thing I could tweak, where like, I maybe give them like a separate offer in between or whatever, right? Like, that's okay. But it's like a small thing. It's not like, it didn't work, burn that shit down and start from square one. It's like, oh, okay, I could just do this like one extra little thing that would be different, right? Michelle says, right, the space to hold for 90 days. So we need things that keep us motivated and focused, absolutely, but also keep the ADD in check by having it set up so you don't lose interest. 100%. It's all the brain work. Like once you've decided, once you're like, I'm fucking in, I'm doing that for 90 days, I've decided, all your work becomes brain work, because your decision, again, will always dictate your actions. So once you've made this big decision, actions become easier, right? The fucking tough part is this thing, and getting it to not fight you on those actions and support you in those actions and not distract you and actually keep you motivated and all of that. But I personally love that, because then I know what problem to keep solving, which is like, the problem is here. So I can keep going, no, I already committed to this. I already decided what resistance am I feeling and how do I work through it, versus, you know, okay, fine, let me burn this down and start on the next strategy or whatever, because that is crazy making, seriously, right? Again, when you get to the 90 days, it doesn't mean you don't make a change, but usually at that point, it's small and slight and specific. It's not like, fuck it, it didn't work. If you actually focus on something, go all in on it, give it your effort for 90 days, there's literally no way you're not going to see traction. And there's no way you're not going to be able to make a quicker, better, more informed tweak moving forward, right? So the way you shift it fast is to do that mindset work, to notice the resistance, to notice what's coming up, to notice like, okay, I've made this decision and I'm still feeling resistance around taking this action. Why? Or like, I'm not feeling motivated around this action. Why? Like, it's all this once you've made the decision and decided what your actions are. I think the other thing I would add to this is that in doing this so often, we look at like what everyone else is doing, right? So we'll be like, oh, I committed to this, but I see X working really well for so-and-so, and so maybe I should do that instead. No. It's almost never the tool or the platform or the thing, right? So like I could be like, okay, I'm going all in on Facebook groups for 90 days, right? But then I'm like, but my friend is killing it on Instagram, so I should probably be on Instagram instead. I'm looking at it wrong, right? My friend is probably killing it on Instagram because she's probably been consistent AF on Instagram, right? She's probably been showing up. She's probably been pouring energy in there. She's probably been doing it for a while, that kind of thing. And so I'm looking at the tool or the platform or the thing and going, oh, see, I should be doing that, versus going, oh no, she's like committed to Instagram for like the past 90 days. Like if I scroll through her stuff, she's like really showing up. She's doing this or whatever it is, right? And so that is why the mindset work is so key, because if not, your brain will find 100 excuses like, oh, but so-and-so is doing this and it's working. What they're probably doing at the core, what probably anybody that you see doing something that's working is doing at the core, is pouring their energy into something and focusing all the way in on it, right? Now, as you grow, as you get team members, it's easier to have, several streams of focus. So, it may look like, but that person's here and here. But again, I bet they have a team for that. So again, we want to stop solving the wrong problems. The problem isn't like the platform. The problem is like, how in are you on the platform? How committed are you? How much have you given it your focus, energy, and attention, right? And again, the brain is the thing that's going to prevent you from doing that. Your mindset is what's going to go, she's doing it better over here. I should be doing this. I should change my strategy. It's not working, right? It's always that time gap between when I start doing something new and when I actually see the results from it. Your whole job is to close the mindset gap in that time frame, to be so committed that no matter how bananas your brain goes, you're staying in. Hey, Lisa. So I hope that makes sense. That's totally the thing. I think the last part I would add to this is like, I think that sometimes what can happen too is that once we see, it's like that client I was talking to you guys about last week, is like, once we see traction starting to build, we're like, oh, this feels good. How do I go faster? How do I do more, right? Versus like, let it build. It's almost like just as uncomfortable when it's not working as it is when we're like at that starting point where we start to see it. So like, let's use the gym example. It's like, really uncomfortable first, 6 weeks, not seeing any results. Then at 8 weeks, I start to like notice it a little bit, but like nobody else can see it. And so I'm like, oh, should I go to the gym twice a day? This feels awesome. Like maybe I'll start going twice a day and cutting back on my food intake. And that's when I start to actually lose the momentum sometimes, because it's like not sustainable and I burn myself out. Versus like if I would have just kept going, then on week 12, everyone else would have started seeing it. I wouldn't feel burnt out. I would feel like, oh my God, I got this. Like this is really happening, right? And when I go, I'm going to be all in. I'm going to really show up for the workout, but I don't also need to go for 3 hours a day to like make it happen, in a week instead, and then burn out so much that I like can't do it long term. So same with business, is like the uncomfortable pieces are like when no results are showing up, when they just start showing up a little bit and you want to like sprint to the finish line. But the truth is, when you can make it a well-oiled machine, when you can work on your brain in those two spaces, when you can work on your mindset in those two spaces, you will have such a successful and sustainable business because of it. When you're not is when you are sabotaging, when you're building something up and burning it down, when you're working way too hard and doing way too much, when you're willing to burn yourself out and like hustle and grind to the point where like you just don't want to do shit anymore, right? So your way to shift it is to work that mindset in that space in between. And, of course, like the starting point of that is you got to decide what you're doing for 90 days. You got to go all in and get committed. You got to figure out what those action steps look like. And then as soon as you start taking them, no matter what your brain tells you, you stay committed, right? So I want to know from you guys whether you're watching live now or watching the replay, like what is your commitment for the next 90 days? Helps so much to say it because it feels like a decision then. What are you committed to? And then again, like the way to stop sabotaging super fast is not to change the plan no matter what, to keep changing your brain, to keep changing your brain, to keep changing your brain. So tell me, what are you committed to? What are you focused on? What are you looking at only for the next 90 days? Write it to me, write it to yourself, put it on a sticky on your laptop, and you will see everything in your business change. Like they say something at my gym, I can't remember what it is, but it's cute and catchy, which is kind of like the 90 days are going to pass either way. Do you want results at the end of them? Right? It's something like that. I'm sure it's said in a million ways, but the point is the same thing is true here, which is like 90 days are going to come and go, and it's going to feel like the blink of an eye. It might feel far now to be like, but I can't wait 90 days to see if something's working. I need it to work. Those are going to pass either way. They can either pass with you spreading yourself super thin and feeling like a crazy person, or they can pass with you committed. But either way, I promise you're going to see more results by being committed to a decision, right? So even if you're like 90 days feels like a lot, or I don't have that, or like I don't want to wait for that. The thing is, I promise you it's going to go by in the blink of an eye, and you want the results from it, right? Just like for me being like, oh my God, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week for the next 90 days. However, do I want the results on the other side of that, or do I want to be here or not here, right? Like I want to be in the same place in 90 days thinking the same thing, like, oh, I guess I need to go to the gym for the next 90 days, right? No, it feels so much better to start taking the action now. Michelle says, I'm committed to getting my program out and filled with clients by staying focused on my group and lives. Boom. Love it. Love it. Love it. So simple, you guys, right? Like all she's saying is like, I have a thing I'm going to sell and I'm committed to selling it in these 2 ways. And it sounds so simplistic, but like literally imagine that. If you're not seeing the results you want in your business, ask yourself if you've ever done that. Have you ever gotten super fucking committed on one thing and then sold it like crazy in like 1 or 2 places? Probably not, right? Probably not. So this is your opportunity. This is a way to shift your mindset. It's a way to stop burning out. It's a way to stop doing all the same thing or all the things. And it's a way to stop like building up, burning down, building up, burning down. This is like that consistent growth, consistent results mentality. So let me know what you committed to. Keep us posted. I want to hear, and then I want to hear in 90 days how that actually went. And then remember that in between, your mindset is the work. Your mindset is always, always, always the work. So hope that was helpful. I hope you all have a good Monday, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.